Hello, everybody, and welcome to the April 21st Trips and Traps. I'm Andy Serling, joined by Eric Donovan.
Happy to report that we have a full show for you this week. 2 segments, 3 races each, a lot of maidens, a lot of turfs. Let's get started. April 14th, race number 4, a maiden special weight on the turf for fillies and mares. We're going to look at the 4 Cougar Cruise, a first-time starter, and the 3 Lucida, a horse getting on the grass for the first time.
Yeah, Cougar Cruise, as you'll see, as when we break the race, comes out and we'll have like a little trouble at the start. She breaks a little bit slowly there. Nothing major, but she sort of gets shuffled out, and sort of worth pointing out. Now, according to the timer, they went 22 1/5 the first quarter. I don't believe it, but then again, anything's possible. There's Lucida, the 3 horse, trying the turf for the first time. The 4, who broke a little bit slowly, Cougar Cruise, back in the pack a little bit. Lucida gets in a very, very good position. Cougar Cruise not in a bad position. The pace couldn't have been as fast as a 22 1, though, because the eventual winner is sitting the perfect tuck behind. I don't think it would have worked out that way.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think it was probably a little bit more moderate a pace than what we see now. But, you know, to this point, our horses, Lucida, getting a fairly decent trip. And, you know, considering that the horse, the first-time starter we're talking about, got off to a bad start, also saving some ground. So things not too bad for these horses around the first turn.
Yeah, it's nothing major. You know, you've got Lucida sitting the pocket, but the important thing with her is a little bit later, and you've got Cougar Cruise back there, and she'll make a little bit of a run at the end. She took some money, actually, Cougar Cruise, and she has some breeding, so perhaps she'll improve a little bit, or maybe she needs a drop down. This is not an easy field. The interesting thing to me is the eventual winner of this race, Sapphire Mink, is right there. Lucida's right behind her, but the rider of Lucida, Cornelia Velasquez, decides to make an early move, as you'll see when they head to the turn. Edgar Prado, who rides Sapphire Mink, gave an absolutely perfect and flawless ride, patiently waiting behind. It worked out for him. The horse was sitting second right now, a first-timer on the turf for Ned Howard actually ran very well, too.
Yeah, that was Jill DePill, who came up from Philadelphia Park, looked a little cheap, and was the longest shot in the race. And now I'll pause it again and take a look and see where our horses are. There's Lucida, and see on the outside making a move up is Cougar Cruise, who's going to be about 4 wide around the turn here. Both horses, you know, running well to this point and fairly comfortably, but we'll take a look here, and Lucida makes this kind of a premature move here.
Right, well, she just blows by the eventual winner in Edgar Prado's horse. She opens up 2 lengths. She goes from 2 lengths behind her to 2 lengths in front of her. And ultimately, unless you're just a ton the best, it just isn't probably the way you want to be ridden. Cougar Cruise is out here sort of floundering along. We'll get to her in a second. I'm not saying Sapphire Mink wouldn't have beaten Lucida either, and Lucida probably should have finished second, and it was a gutsy performance by Jill DePill to hold second. But maybe Lucida moved a little prematurely while getting a perfect trip, but she could have gotten a better one.
Yeah, I can't argue with you there, and I think the first-time starter, Cougar Cruise, is one that I'd be interested in next time out as well. Hardly disgraced there, beaten about 4 lengths, I would say, when all is said and done. Slow break, wide trip around the second turn there. Both these horses, I think, have reason to believe that they'll improve next time.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it was actually a pretty decent field. It was definitely the best maiden race we had run so far at Aqueduct on the turf, so looking forward to some of these horses coming back. Lucida, obviously not a big price. Cougar Cruise, we'll see where she fits, but she might be okay and improve in her second start.
Another turf race to bring you. We'll go through the 16th race, number 4, Nurse Dolce. Maiden special weight for New York Breds. Nurse Dolce is number 4.
Yeah, you know, there's not a lot to show during this race. It's not like anything major is going to happen. It's more of a conceptual thing. There was no pace whatsoever on paper, and as you'll see when we watch the race, here is Nurse Dolce back here. You'll see that the horses there are 1-2 or 1-2 around the track the whole way, and they sort of build an insurmountable edge, going very slowly. And this turf has gotten pretty firm pretty quickly. If you look at this race on paper going in, it was hard not to think that Nurse Dolce was going to be the speed in here. She had been ahead of this horse, the gray, Glory in Motion, in their races last year on the turf. And it feels like Jose Lezcano, I mean, you can see him right here. He's kind of fighting her a little bit. She's back in here. He's fighting her a little bit. I don't know why you would choose today to rate this horse a race there was no speed on paper.
Yeah, I don't get it either. First time back off the layoff, hadn't run since November. Don't know if that had anything to do with it here, but you see right here the pace is slow. Actually, the top 3 finishers are going to all be, you know, 1, 2, 3 in here, and Nurse Dolce kind of steadying along in behind that second pack of horses there. Just a little bit too far back, I think, at this point to make a big run into the slow pace.
Yeah, I really was surprised to see this, and it's almost as though she was given no chance. I mean, she'll get angled out in the stretch and swung out, and the rider, when they come in the stretch, and you'll see that. And here she is going all the way back to last, and she's still, you watch Lezcano, he's basically still taking a hold of her. What was going to happen in this race that she was going to be part of the final order of finish in this race from where she was?
I don't know what was going to happen. He would have needed a lot of horses to get very tired in the stretch or something else to happen here. I don't know what to make of Nurse Dolce, though, because, you know, all said and done, she didn't lose that much ground on the turns or anything like that. And you know, she really doesn't have that much of a finish here. I know the race was kind of pace-dominated here. I guess I would have liked to seen her closer up and see what she could have done.
Right. Look, I don't know how good she is. And she had that turf race, and she didn't run that well when she finished behind Glory in Motion back at Aqueduct. But I know one thing. She can give a better account of her than she did in this race. She was given absolutely no chance. Did she need a race? I don't know. Maybe she can't run, but I'll be interested to see where she is next time she runs, because this race, she just had no chance the way the race was run.
We'll shift gears to the dirt now. Another maiden special weight. This is the 6th race from the 16th. And we're going to take a look at a horse that a lot of people are talking about, the 1 Ziotoni, and also kind of how the race set up with the 3 horses going for the lead, including Al Mutasib and the 7 Avenging Spirit.
Yeah, well, not only are they talking about Ziotoni, but the big white horse, Avenging Spirit, is one they've been talking about since Saratoga, and it's now run 3 times, and does have seconds in all 3 of those starts, but beginning to wonder if and when he's ever going to live up to the hype. Ziotoni, though, getting a very nice trip behind the speeds here. You have Al Mutasib in the front right now, and Avenging Spirit, the white, all the way on the outside.
Now, the thing with Ziotoni is that Ziotoni is going to draw off to win this race by 4.5 lengths. Be very impressive in here. How much of this win by Ziotoni is set up by the pace right now? I think Ziotoni kind of makes a little bit of an early move to the lead here, which makes me believe that he's got a lot of talent and he's actually good, but is this a mirage? Is this horse really this good?
He's pretty good, and I don't disagree with you as you see him right now moving up. And here he is moving up 3 wide. Avenging Spirit starts to get away, and I guess at this point Gabriel Saez is riding, and Al Mutasib is on the inside. I guess Gabriel Saez must have made a decision. I've got to beat Avenging Spirit, and it's not hard to see him, the big white horse. He's getting away. I don't want to let him get away. And I mean, he comes to him under a stranglehold.
Yeah, he does, and that's what I think was most impressive about Ziotoni's race, is that despite the quick pace and where he was, he just kind of moves up on his own in here. You know, you would expect him to see him maybe a length off, still behind the leader, but he does everything on his own here. A little bit green in the stretch, though. You know, it's only his 2nd start, but he is a 3-year-old. He should have these problems figured out by now, you would think. Maybe he learns from this and just continues to get better. Yeah,
I imagine Mike Hushin will get him straightened out, and he seems like an okay horse. Avenging Spirit, who's behind him, look, he is a pretty good horse, but he's clearly not as good as some people had hoped he would be. And Al Mutasib actually does a pretty decent job at the end, sort of coming again after fighting it out early. I have a feeling we're going to see Avenging Spirit on the turf. That's what I actually think is going to happen. I think he'll be okay on the turf. Ziotoni, we're going to see him on the dirt. Where he goes, I imagine Mike Hushin would love to get an allowance win into him and think about a race like the Riva Ridge on Belmont, the Woody Stevens, I still call it the Riva Ridge, the Woody Stevens on Belmonte. So I imagine that's where we'll see him. How good he is, I don't know yet, but he's probably okay.
Yeah, it looks like he's got a lot of talent, some things he probably has to figure out. Well, we got to figure out some stuff like what we're going to say for the next segment, so we'll take a quick time out. But before that, remember the viewer address, the email address, tripsandtraps@NYRank.com.
Right, we love to hear your emails, so please keep them coming.
And come on back for the second segment.